TRS Clips, the place you arrive at if you just want the best bits of India's smartest podcast, The Ranveer Show. Subscribe, hit that bell icon. You know, dude, I feel in a man's life, there's like three phases. I mean, at least I'm speaking about pre-50, okay? I don't know beyond 50. But because we've done the podcast primarily with people who are under the age of 50, here's what I figured. So one huge phase is when you're like going from 22 to 25. And this isn't just men, this is human beings, okay? Men and women. 22 to 25 is one evolution. I feel when you have like a kid, so like your early or mid 30s is another. And somewhere in your 40s, you have a third, like something happens. Which brings me back to what I asked you about turning 40. What's that like in here? Like, what's that like?
I've always heard that once you turn 40, suddenly your life just starts falling into place. And I have to say that's true because I think you finally realize that your priorities start mattering. I think we've always all had priorities, but finally you realize that, it's go time. This is when you really got to make it count. And you start following and adhering to those priorities. And that's not going to happen before you're 40.
Okay.
Regardless of what it is. Yes, I agree. Once you have a kid, it kind of whips you into shape, because you're now responsible for this new life. And that's an amazing moment. I've seen fathers literally like their face change when I've seen them holding their newborn child, and I was no different. That, and then when you turn 40, I think for me it was like a eureka moment. You just suddenly like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm not happy doing, and I got to make the changes that I got to make. Also, I think on some level, which we tend to do a lot in India. I don't know why. Don't ask me why, but I just feel somewhere we're very apologetic about our dreams and our ambitions. Somewhere maybe it's part of our society or our culture where we're led to believe that being ambitious is not a cool thing. I feel the younger generation has accepted that a lot better than people from my generation. We were really at the cusp of that. And I just feel that, there's absolutely nothing wrong in wanting to achieve what you want to achieve, even if it seems unreachable. But to have the confidence, the self-assurance, don't be arrogant about it, but to have the self-assurance to go out and achieve your dreams, I think is so important. And we've got to stop telling our kids primarily that, no, just stay humble and, no, go out there, dream big, do what it takes to achieve what you have to achieve and believe in yourself.
100%. We had a historian on the podcast last week where I addressed this exact concept that why is the older generation in India, like people born the 60s, 70s, 80s, slightly less, brash than the younger generation. I feel the 90s born and 2000s born generation really wants big things for themselves. They're not looking at American entrepreneurs or American success stories and saying, wow, that's crazy. They're saying we can also do that, which is probably missing from the older generations. And then I feel the 80s, 90s and 2000 generations gradually shed that off. So I see it changing. I hear you, but I do see it changing. And I'm sure you see that in your own daughter as well. The thought process is different.
Absolutely. And I think that thought process is afforded to the younger generations, standing on the shoulders of the previous generations. I think, there's so many changes that happened post-independence to India, that today we get to think on equal terms to everything else. Historically, over the last 100, 150 odd years, somewhere Indians have always been told to think that we are not only subservient, but we are not as good as the rest of the world. And that post-independence, that mindset started changing slowly.
Yes.
And I really feel that today we've come with that full circle where today's generation is on par with the world. We have access to the world, which previously we didn't. In the early 90s, when satellite television first came in, it's the first time India was opened up to what the world was watching. And then came the internet. And now suddenly there's absolutely nothing different about, you're as informed, you're as educated, you're as, capable and clued in with what's going on. So the West in no way is superior. And I think because of the access and the way the country's opened up the economy, everything, today it's actually you go out there with great pride. And today, I don't see like a younger generation thinking that anybody in the West or in the Far East is any better than us. We're as good, if not better. And I love that.